So in this video, we're going to show you how to find an inverse. And I've been teaching algebra for a long time. It's always the same 4 steps. So sometimes it looks a little different and other things are involved, but it's the same 4 steps. Okay, so we're going to be given a function, and I'm going to make this a nice little linear function for us. Let's say 1/3 x plus 6. Okay, that'll be our function. So it's a linear function, you could graph it and things like that, but there we go. So the first step is you replace f of x with y. So we're going to rewrite this function as y equals 1/3 x plus 6. Now remember, our goal is here is to find the inverse of the original function. Okay, so this is the original function, and we're trying to find the inverse. Okay, step 2, this is where we go to the world of the inverse. You switch x and y. So all your x's become y's, all your y's become x's. So it's the old switcheroo. So I'm going to rewrite this now. I'll write it in green. X equals 1/3 y plus 6. Okay, so that's the line right there. We had the original function, and now when we make that switch, now we are talking about finding the inverse, okay? So that's what it's based on right there. All right. Step 3, here's where the math comes in. Solve for y. So the first 2 steps aren't too bad. First step, you're just replacing f of x with y, which we kind of have done that in the past. Second, not too bad, just all the x's become y's, all the y's become x's. That's the switch. But now we have to take this equation that we have in step 2 and solve for y. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. So I have x minus 6 equals 1/3 y. And then I need to get y by itself, right? So I'm going to multiply by 3 on both sides. So I get 3x minus 18, usually we would distribute there, equals y. And so we've solved for y, right? Okay, so my y is on the right-hand side. I could write that, though, y equals 3x minus 18. That would be the same thing. Usually when you're solving for a variable, you put the variable you're solving for on the left. Okay, so that's just FYI there. And then the last step is replace y with the inverse notation. So again, fairly easy step. Now we're saying, okay, the inverse of the function, the original one we started with, is going to be 3x minus 18. Okay, that was the inverse. That's what we were asked to do. Here's the original, and then here's the inverse. Now you could verify it by doing the compositions. You could find compose f inverse of x should turn out to be x, and then you could do the other way, f inverse of f of x, and that should also equal x. That would be the check. Okay, so here we have an example. It's another linear function, and we're just going to go through the steps. If you think you're able to do it on your own, stop the video, try it, and then come back and check your work. Okay, so step 1. First, replace the f of x. Write it as y equals 7x minus 5. Step 2, switch the x and y. So x equals 7y minus 5. Okay, so far so good. All right, now we have to solve for y. Okay, to do that, I'm going to add the 5, and I'm going to divide by 7. So how do I want to write this? Well, I can write y equals, I can leave it x plus 5 over 7, or I could write it as a linear function. It's also linear, but I'll just leave it this way. Maybe you want to see it the other way, though. You could write it as 1/7 x plus 5/7. We work a lot with linear functions, so either one would be fine. And then step 4, put in the inverse notation. So the inverse of f of x, f inverse of x, is equal to, and I'm just going to leave it x plus 5 over 7. Okay. So that was a linear function. Not all of our functions are linear, so we're going to show you some more examples, but the steps are the same. Okay?